The Pittsburgh Steelers have made many roster changes within the last week, and that includes signing 2 players, activating 1 player from injured reserve, and also releasing 2 other players. But first, before I get more into who those players are and what they could bring to the team, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right into it. So, we're going to start off with the activation, because the Pittsburgh Steelers have activated quarterback Will Howard to the main roster from injured reserve. And if you remember, Howard returned to practice on October 22nd, and the Steelers had a 21-day window to either activate Howard or he would remain on injured reserve list. And it was coming down to the wire. On Wednesday was his final day. The Steelers had to make a choice whether to leave him there or to sign him to the active roster. And the Pittsburgh Steelers decided to activate him to the 53. So, in a corresponding move, that means the Pittsburgh Steelers had to release a player from the 53-man roster to create an open roster spot for Will Howard. And that player was Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon was a player who was on the practice squad basically all season, but then last week, he was actually signed to the 53-man roster because he had no more games available to be risen up to the main squad on game day. And the Pittsburgh Steelers needed some players on game day for special teams. So they decided, hey, we need to sign this player to the 53, and that's when they released DeMarvin Leal last week, just strictly for special teams. But now the Pittsburgh Steelers decided to release Trey Sermon and sign Will Howard to the 53 because it was his final day. And if you remember, Will Howard got placed on injured reserve on August 28th after he was dealing with a hand injury in camp and missed all of preseason. He's now excited to be back, and this is just the first step in seeing what he is as a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He may only get a few reps here and there in practice, but he's willing to make the most of it. Now, let's move over back to Trey Sermon, because Trey Sermon was on the practice squad, got risen up to the 53, but then released from the team in general last week. But now the Pittsburgh Steelers have signed him back to the practice squad because they had an open roster spot after the New York Giants claimed a wide receiver off of the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad to their main roster in Isaiah Hodgins. So the Pittsburgh Steelers had an open practice squad roster spot, and Trey Sermon is now back on the team. So you may expect him to get risen up once again from the practice squad on game day to play special teams. And they have now 3 more activations for him to be risen up. And they kind of renew that window since he was off the team and then rejoined. Now, looking at the other player the Pittsburgh Steelers have signed to their active roster, and that is Asante Samuel Jr. And I have yet to cover this move for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but this one is a big one because he is right now on the practice squad, but you could really expect that this is going to be a 53-man roster kind of move because the Pittsburgh Steelers need some help on that cornerback spot. Darius Slay has continued to get injured week after week. Seems like he goes down with at least 2 injuries per week. It is what it is. He's getting older, final year of his career. He's also not been good this season in terms of the cornerback spot. The Pittsburgh Steelers had to rely on James Pierre last week, had to rely on Eccles other weeks. So now the Pittsburgh Steelers signed Asante Samuel Jr. to their active roster. Or not to their active roster, the practice squad, but basically the active roster. Because he will be risen up on game day eventually, and then probably signed to the main squad. He had a chance to sign with any other team in the NFL after he got cleared from injury to his spine. And he had meetings with like 5 other teams, and he decided to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers because the Pittsburgh Steelers team surgeon is the one who performed the surgery on Asante Samuel. So obviously that means the Pittsburgh Steelers feel confident that the surgeon will clear him and knows everything's 100% with him, and they know his medical history. But obviously Asante Samuel Jr. also knows that the Pittsburgh Steelers need help at the quarterback spot, and he feels comfortable being around the Steelers organization because his doctor is there for the team as well. So Asante Samuel Jr. is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. So, looking at this move, Samuel was originally drafted by the Los Angeles Chargers in the second round of the 2001 NFL draft, 21 NFL draft. He spent 4 seasons with the Chargers, starting 47 of 50 games he played in, and he appeared in only 4 games last season after dealing with injuries. In his 4 seasons, however, with the Chargers, he had 6 interceptions, 37 pass defense, and a fumble recovery. So he's a player who has experience in the NFL, and he's a big play waiting to happen. He causes turnovers. And if you know the Steelers scheme, the Steelers defensive mindset and players, they are big play players, meaning that they rely mostly on turnovers in a game. Yes, they may let up yardage, but if they get turnovers, they feel as though that isn't a success. So Samuels fits right into that mindset of how the Pittsburgh Steelers do business on the defensive side of the ball. So he will be a great acquisition. And when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of what maybe I expect their cornerback room could look like going forward, you may have Joey Porter Jr. as the cornerback 1, Asante Samuel Jr. as the cornerback 2, and then you have Jalen Ramsey in the slot, or you have Jalen Ramsey at safety. And then Darius Slay could be a player that you could rotate in every once in a while. That's what I would assume the Pittsburgh Steelers may do at the cornerback spot because of Darius Slay not performing well this season. In a perfect world, you would have, obviously, Darius Slay as outside, Joey Porter Jr. as outside, maybe Asante Samuel Jr. as a slot, and then you have Jalen Ramsey be free safety. And that's the perfect, ideal situation. But because of the play this season, that probably won't happen, and things will have to be switched around. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers, having Samuel, and if he gets back to being 100%, even though he's not played in basically a year, it would be huge for this team. Because he's still only 26 years old, that means that he would still be in the prime of his career. And if the Steelers could have him at the top of his prime for the next however many years, you fix your cornerback room. Then you have great players in the cornerback spots, and if he continues to play how he used to play, then that's a really good thing. So it's really great that he decided to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers because the Steelers have needed a cornerback, and he's a cornerback who's waiting to sign with the team basically all this time, just waiting to get cleared, and now he signs with the Steelers. So, Asante Samuel Jr., welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, one last thing I want to touch on, it's just a practice squad release, because the Pittsburgh Steelers have decided to sign Trey Sermon to the practice squad. They have also released defensive back Derek Forrest from the practice squad. If you remember, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed Derek Forrest, a safety, to the team after they dealt with an injury to Sean Elliott. We thought maybe he would see game day action because the Pittsburgh Steelers were really low on safety depth. And then that week, Chuck Clark was out. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers also didn't have Juan Thornhill because they released him. So we thought maybe Derek Forrest will see some game day action. He did not. And even though he was looked at as maybe a good acquisition, he's now released from the practice squad and off of the team in general without seeing any snaps for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, all in all, just to recap, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed 2 players, and those 2 players are Asante Samuel Jr., and they've also signed Trey Sermon. The 2 players that they released were Trey Sermon and then Derek Forrest. And the player that they've activated from injury reserve to the main roster is Will Howard. So, just to recap, that was the moves. My thoughts on this is Will Howard being activated is a great thing, because even though he gets to still talk to Aaron Rodgers in practice while he was injured, now he actually gets to see live reps against this defense in practice and be right there throwing next to Aaron Rodgers, which will be a great sign for his progress moving forward as potentially a franchise quarterback next season. And then you look at Asante Samuel Jr., great addition to this team because if he gets back to what he used to be, he could be a number 2 cornerback for us. Trey Sermon, this is a special teams move, and good to have him back. And then Derek Forrest, it's unfortunate that he's gone without seeing any reps for us, even though we thought maybe he would play. That's my thoughts on this video, on these additions, subtractions, activations, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below on each one of these moves. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Would you have done something different? And also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports, everything surrounding this team I have you covered all season long. and this is the best spot for your Pittsburgh Steelers updates. So stay tuned, like this video, share the video, subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and until the next video tomorrow, I'll see you guys all later. That's it for me. I'm out. Peace.